lesson for beginners who want to go from strumming some simple chords to some fingerpicking blues. And with fingerpicking blues I mean playing with a monotonic bass, also known as a steady bass or a dead thumb bass, and picking some melody notes with the index finger. So that's the idea. Now, the song I played at the beginning of the video is an arrangement I made of Good Morning Blues by Brownie McGee. And you'll find the link to the original, well, one of the originals, because Brownie recorded it several times, in the video link, and you also, in the video description, sorry, and also in the video description you'll find a link to the tablature which you can download for free at my website. Now, I tapped out the basic arrangement plus some variations, and the reason I chose this song is because it's simple, only 3 chords, and what is mainly important is that it has endless possibilities for variations and improvisations. And when you want to learn a new technique like this, you need material to practice, because it will not come overnight, that sound, and it's that kind of material that you need to practice. Simple material, but yet very interesting to play. So after let's say a practice session, you have a good feeling because you learned something and you did something yourself. And I'm going to show you with this song that there are very interesting improvisations to be made with it. Okay, now let's start with the bass. And there are a few things to keep in mind. First of all, a thumb pick helps with this style because you need a strong bass. Not overpowering, but very strong, because it has to be rhythmic. That's the great appeal of this kind of music. So a thumb pick helps. It works without also, and some players do it. You'll hear the difference. The sound is stronger with a thumb pick. Also with a thumb pick, your hand is slightly more removed of the strings and the fingers below have more room therefore. Because, and that's the second item I want to tell you, you will need to mute the sound. Because we're hitting the bass strings fairly hard, and I hit not only the 6th string but also the 5th and sometimes even the 4th. Now I'm going to mute the sound of the 5th and the 4th, and you hear the difference. And here's the full E chord again. Muted. So that's the difference. And eventually we want to play all over the fretboard, and if you don't mute that sound, those other strings, the 5th and the 4th, they don't belong to that key. We'll be playing in the key of E, by the way. So I'll give you an example. Doesn't sound really cool. This is cool. So let's start thumping away, and we'll look at the arrangement now. So if you haven't finger picked already, just keep a steady rhythm, not too fast. And if you have mastered this, it takes a bit of practice, but it's doable. Work with a metronome if you have difficulty in keeping rhythm. You will soon find the knack of it. Now let's add the first note, the first melody note, which will play on the 3rd string, open, and a hammer. Just grab your E chord, open, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, open, open. So we're hitting the 3rd string between beats, open, and the hammer is on the beat. So let's add the second note. And the second beat. Practice this a while and then add the third beat. The fourth beat. Okay, now I'm going to play the first 4 bars of the arrangements as stepped out. That's the 5th beat when we go to the A chord. And note, I'm playing only with my index finger and my thumb. For the time being, start with that. These are your most agile fingers. Educate them first, and believe me, automatically this finger will follow later. And you won't have to look for it, it will become an automatic reaction. But start now with these two. Everything I play in this video is you can play with these two, no problem. Okay, then we go in the 5th bar, we go to the A chord, and I'm grabbing that open, 2nd fret, open, 2nd fret, open. And I'm using these 2 fingers to fret, so my first finger is free to go to the 2nd string, 1st fret, to do later that hammer on, and my pinky is free to play the 1st string, 2nd fret and 3rd fret and the open string. So let's play the 5th and 6th bar, and know that we changed chords in the 4th bar at the 4th beat in the 2nd half. So I'm going to play that 4th bar again, and then the 5th and the 6th, so you can see where the change of the chords is happening. And change. Bar, we're going to the B7, that is on the 5th fret, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, open, 2nd, B7 chord. So in the 9th bar we're going to the B7, and then we change into the A, same figure as before, and to the E. We have that quick hammer on in the 11th bar. Practice this way. Now add the 3rd fret 1st string. That's the full 11th bar. And then the 12th bar. Okay, now I added some variations, and the first one is is happening during the first 4 bars, which are in E, and I'll play those first 4 bars with a variation. Then you go back to the A, and same as before. So what we're doing is exactly the same, because it's exactly the same as here, but 1 octave, 8 notes higher. Now there's also a variation, the second variation in the tab is a variation for the B7. Well, you know, we've done this figure. We can do exactly the same for the B7, but that's 2 frets higher than the A. So we slide to the 4th fret on the 1st string 2nd fret, and after that back to the A. So I'll play that in context, so I'll start with the 8th bar and play the variation in the 9th bar. So here's bar 8 in E. Sorry. And to the A, etc. Now you notice that for that B7 we're playing simply an A bass, and that is possible because in the B7 chord we have an A on the 3rd string, so we can play that in the bass, why not? Then there's another variation for the B7 for bars 9 and 10. In the basic arrangement, bar 9 was B7 and bar 10 was back to A7. Instead of doing that, we can simply stay in B7 for 2 bars, and that's the variation you'll see in the tab at the second, starts at the second last line. So I'll play that again in context. First the 8th bar, which is in E, and then we'll go to the B7. There's the B7. And finally we have another variation for E. I told you the eventual goal is to play all over the neck, and so in the first 4 bars we're staying in E, and so you can play any E chords during those 4 bars, and in this variation we're playing the D7 shape. There's a D7 here, 2nd fret on the 1st string, 1st fret and 2nd fret, and move that up to the 4th fret and you get an E chord. So here's the variation. Back to the A. Now, you've seen the variations, and I'll talk now about the improvisations. So, using the combinations which are only in the tab, so the positions that are in the tab, you can, well, dream up, make up hundreds of combinations. For example, in the E chords, what can we do? What we can find in the tab is that hammer on the 3rd string, open, and you can hammer fast, you can hammer short, long. Then the 2nd string we can play open, 2nd fret and 3rd fret, and also the 1st string, open, 2nd and 3rd fret. So for example, there are a few variations. So anything goes during those 4 bars. Then in the A chord we've seen, we played the 2nd string open, 1st fret and 2nd fret. You can do that with a hammer, or simply open and hammer. And the 1st string open, 2nd and 3rd fret. So the basic arrangement was, but you can play. And for the B7 we can use any combination between the first 3 strings and also 2nd string open, 2nd and 3rd fret, especially with a bend, and the 1st string open, 2nd and 3rd fret. So here's a few examples. Or now, what can you do with those improvisations? We can go, for example, forward. That's forward, and we're going to go backwards too. We can use hammers. We can use pull-offs. can do slides. We can mix all the strings, we've seen that before. And very important, we can mute also. What is that? We play the string and we rest our picking finger immediately after picking the string. So. And finally we can really dirty it up. Hitting more than one string. There is no law against it. Okay, that was about it, and I'm going to end this video with simply, I'm going to improvise a couple minutes. And I'll start slow, and I can pick up speed afterwards, because you can play this song slow or fast. You can really let yourself go. And I simply don't know what I'm going to play, so I might screw up here and there. But that's the fun thing about improvisation. And if you do this, you will really know afterwards that you accomplished something. And if it's only a few notes, it doesn't matter, you will feel good. And you can say, I feel good playing the blues. Here we go. Good morning blues, who's how do you do? Oh, good morning blues, who's how do you do? Well, I'm doing alright now, good morning, how are you? Well, I sent for yesterday, baby, here comes walking today. Oh, I sent for yesterday, babe, here come walking today. Wait on my